Today's video, I want to talk about how to stop walking on eggshells, whether you're still in a relationship with a covert narcissist or not, okay? Just because you leave a relationship or you detox from toxic people doesn't mean that the coping skills that you lived in for a long time simply disappear. So we're going to talk about how to stop walking on eggshells around narcissists and around people that aren't narcissists. Okay, so let's dive in. For those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which is a monthly membership where we meet weekly and we take everything that we're learning about healing complex PTSD and life after narcissistic abuse, and we learn how to put it into practice in our daily life. So if that's something you might be interested in, the link is always in the description box below. Okay, so walking on eggshells if you are with a covert narcissist. Now, I just want to stress that the advice I'm going to give in this particular case is really geared to people that are in relationships or have family members or even coworkers that are covert narcissists that do not physically abuse. So in other words, your life is not in danger and you're safe, okay? Even though the behaviors of the covert narcissist can be overwhelming. For example, maybe they rage, maybe they get out of emotional control, you still know that you're not going to be attacked, okay? I just want to stress that because the advice that you would handle in those situations where somebody is attacking you can be very different from these situations, okay? So if you are with somebody that's a covert narcissist and you find yourself walking on eggshells, in other words, you never feel relaxed, you're always waiting for the shoe to drop, right? Where you never know when the rug is going to be pulled out from under you. If you're feeling happy or a sense of peace, it almost feels momentary and you can't ever really fully enjoy it because you're wondering when the other person is going to explode and take away those moments of peace. So what happens when you're walking on eggshells is you are constantly vigilant as to how the other person is going to be, is being, or how they'll respond, or what's going on inside of them, right? And it's crazy how covert narcissists train you in these subtle ways to be completely focused on them. They love when you're walking on eggshells because if you're walking on eggshells, that means they are so important that you can't even focus on you, that you can't even focus on your kids or on things that make you happy because your mind is consumed by them. And that gives them a tremendous amount of power in their own eyes. Okay, so I wish I had known this years ago. But in a situation that I was in at one time in my life with someone that I feel is high on the scale of covert narcissism, I felt like I was walking on eggshells and I had this fear, right? Because when you're walking on eggshells, the underlying emotion that's going on inside of you is fear. As I was healing, and I remember thinking, well, what was I afraid of? Like, let me pause and kind of peel it back and see what was underneath that fear. And I realized that underneath that fear was that the other person was going to be angry. And I thought, okay, so my life wasn't in danger. I wasn't going to get hit. Why was I so scared that somebody was going to be angry? Now, don't get me wrong. When a narcissist rages, it is a scary thing, okay? But the reality is that as angry as that person could be, as much as they could yell, again, like I wasn't going to be touched, and I knew that. So I had to peel it back even more. And I was like, okay, well, what did that mean to me? If this person gets angry, why is that so I don't know, why does that cause me to feel like something life-shattering is about to happen? And it all had to do with the meaning that I was putting into it. And I had to realize that the meaning that I was putting into it was that if this person gets angry, somehow it's my fault. I'm to blame. And those watching, you guys, probably understand how that could happen, right? Because everything the toxic person feels, every negative emotion they feel is somehow your fault. In fact, everything is your fault. So I didn't even realize that what was driving my fear was the fact that I felt responsible for this person's anger. In other words, somewhere along the line, it became my job to do everything in my power to make sure that that person was not angry or would not get angry. Now, keep in mind, this was not done on a conscious level. I wasn't setting out to do that. But with the psychological manipulation, that's something that's very common. You start to feel responsible for the other person's anger, and then you start doing, thinking, saying, and acting in ways that you hope will avoid that anger or will help this person to not get angry, again, as if it was your responsibility. The reason I'm bringing this up is because if you really, really want to stop walking on eggshells around narcissists, you have to start peeling it back and understand what is driving that behavior, okay? And you can ask yourself, what does it mean to me if this person gets angry? There's so many different things that it could mean. So for example, in my face-to-face coaching, I get a lot of people that will tell me, Michele, I can't even enjoy a cup of coffee because I'm happy, I'm enjoying my coffee, but then the toxic person shoots me this look of anger and suddenly it ruins my day. So with this particular client, I asked her, I was like, well, what does it mean to you? When they give you a look like that, are you doing something wrong? And she's like, no. I was like, okay, so what do you think you're saying to yourself? And she said, well, that, he's mad. And again, trying to help her to peel it back, I asked her, I was like, okay, well, what does that mean to you? If he's mad, what does that mean to you? That he's not happy with me. Okay, and what does that mean to you? And she realized that in her case, it meant that she wasn't lovable. I'm not lovable because of what was going on. Once she got to the core of what was driving her to walk on eggshells and to allow the covert narcissist anger to control, right, her moods, she began to fuel the new belief, the empowering belief, which was, I am lovable. I am a good person. But until you know what that means to you, it's going to be hard to change the external behavior. Now, just using myself as an example, once I realized what my fear was, and I realized, wow, okay, so I feel responsible. Well, is it my job? Is it my job to make sure that this person never gets mad? No, we all have to be responsible for how we choose to show up in life, right? I was responsible for me, and this person was responsible for themselves. Once I really realized that, I started to show up differently. Okay, in other words, my thinking, my mindset changed. Instead of the mindset being, if I do this, they'll get mad. If I do that, they'll get mad. No, my mindset was, okay, I'm going to do this because this is good for me, or this is good for this situation. There's nothing wrong with it. This is a healthy behavior. If this person gets mad, that's their choice. I mean, I hate it. It sucks. It's not fun. But that would be that person's choice. And that's what helped me to break out of walking on eggshells, was getting to the point that I began to live life as me, regardless of how the other person reacted. And that's when I began to start feeling like myself again. Now, does that mean the covert narcissist changes? No. The covert narcissist likes you to walk on eggshells. They like to see that you are so skittish in life that you can't even enjoy a cup of coffee. And the reality is that when they see you getting better, they'll get angry. They won't like it because it means to them that they don't have that same power over you, okay? But it doesn't matter anymore. When you really get to the belief that's driving your fear and you overturn it with a more empowering belief, you won't care anymore if they get mad or if they don't, because their anger is not going to control you anymore. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so get to the heart, get to the root cause of the belief that's fueling your fear, and ask yourself if that's the belief you want running in your life. Or is that the belief that you have because of the manipulation that you've been going through? And if that's the case, and it's not the belief that you want, then all you have to do is start figuring out what's the opposite of that belief, what's the empowering belief that you need, and start living in alignment with that belief. Now I just want to talk about, what if you are around people that aren't toxic and you find yourself walking on eggshells, okay? Just creates an imbalance in a friendship or in a romantic relationship, because you're not showing up authentic, and people can feel that. They may not know why, but they can feel that you're not showing up authentically. It might turn people off from wanting to be around you. It might create one-sided relationships, right? Where there's not the same reciprocity because you're not showing up as you. And in those dynamics, you tend to get taken advantage of, right? So basically, the bottom line is doing the same thing, peeling it back to figure out what the belief is the answer. In other words, if you are walking on eggshells around people that you don't know, you would have to ask yourself, what would I have to believe about myself that would cause me to walk on eggshells? Okay, I would have to believe that it's not safe to be me, or, you know, they're going to reject me if I'm myself, if I show who I really am. So find the fear that is fueling the behavior. Once you find what you're afraid of, what's the belief that's running? If I'm afraid of being authentic, what's the belief? The belief might be, I'm not safe showing up as my real self, or I'm not likable, I'm not interesting, who knows? But you have to get to that belief, because no matter what you do externally to change your external behavior, if you don't overturn the belief, it's almost like you're going to be at war with yourself. So figure out what the belief is, and then start learning how to live in that new empowered belief, okay? And if you struggle with this, because this is hard to do when you're trying to overturn subconscious programming. It's not something that you can watch one video and be a pro at, okay? It takes time. So if you're struggling, make sure you check out my Thriver School of Transformation, because these are the things we do on a weekly basis. We look at our beliefs, we learn how to upgrade them, we learn how to rewire the subconscious, and we learn how to put it into practice in our daily life. So if this video helps, awesome. If you need more, make sure you check out the links in the description box below.